Social media and smartphones enable us to share our stories worldwide in just a few seconds. But do you ever consider how your parents or grandparents share their stories in present day? By 2030, 72 million people will join the 65 and older population. We need to make story sharing technology more inclusive to older generations. Residents in the senior living centers have a lot of interesting stories. Elderly people find joy in sharing these stories. These stories are valuable memories and knowledge for all generations, especially Evelyn's story, which highlights a part of American history that we should never forget.
That left us to have to almost fend for ourselves. So that meant that we knew something to do to make a little money, and that was our way.
They need to be remembered and heard by people inside and outside the center. But if we asked elderly people, "Could you share a story with me?" the majority of them were caught off guard. We realized that asking for a story without a prompt makes it harder for elderly people to share. From our research, elderly people tend to start stories with showing memorable items. These items help them share stories freely. Stories behind these items can interest both the younger generation and their resident center neighbors. How might we use personal artifacts of the elderly as design probes to preserve and pass down stories outside of centers in an engaging and intuitive way? Instead of designing interactions on a touchscreen, we've made a toy dog named Mimi and her doghouse to gather the photographs of elderly people's items and their stories. The photographs include both the items and their hands to provide some clues about the stories, so the viewer will be more interested in learning about these stories. With our design, elderly people are able to run through this linear process by simply patting on Mimi and following the instructions provided by Digital Mimi. Our design is located in a communal space in the Senior Living Center. Residents are notified of the center's new activity, which will be our story sharing design. Residents like Evelyn will trigger the interactive process by holding Mimi.
Hello, my name is Mimi.
She sees a digital Mimi providing audio instructions and her neighbor's stories. Mimi tells Evelyn to place her item into the doghouse and press the camera button on the house to take a picture of her item. After that, she pats Mimi to start recording her story. But she forgets some details, so she pats Mimi's back to start over. After Evelyn finishes recording, she looks at her bowl of cotton and hears her story on the screen. This design will connect elderly people's stories with people both inside and outside the centers. Exploring neighbors' stories will make elderly people know more about each other so that they could feel more socially connected in the center. Younger people are also able to see these interesting stories and bring to light the potential knowledge and experiences elderly people can share with them. We hope this new perspective will drive some younger people to the centers and learn more from these wise and interesting people.